Here we are, round 3, last one. I switched devices, so this one should be okay. And I took away some background things, electronics, and we'll see if it works. So give it a minute to let people log on, and we're gonna do Q&A. Finish this up as I promised. I know a lot of people have questions. I see people are starting to come on. So be patient, everybody. So far, I don't see anyone. Ching, ching, ching. People are starting to come on. I really appreciate the wait today. I'm sorry, everybody. It sucks to have 3 videos. I know that. That really sucks for me. Everything looks good. I see Carol Pierce on, Robert Turek, Ian Bjorkman. Yeah, World Constitution Day, that's the way. I hope you put that in the other videos. You should see my end on the device, the other device. It was just like your name, scrolled, logged on, logged on, logged on, logged on, and each person came in like that, miles of it. It's like, wow, how am I ever going to find questions? Which is what I want. That's what this video is for. Any questions you have, and I'm going to let everybody take their time. We're going to go over some time because I promised this all week, and I don't care about the time. I'm going to go into a couple narratives outside of things right now. We're going to get into BlackRock, okay? There's a big narrative getting sure that people are throwing the BlackRock. You can go on my Facebook. I go into BlackRock 4 years ago. And it's great. I'm glad people are looking at things, but you always get those radical narratives all the time. And it's always, oh, they're out for blood, they're out for you. Well, I can tell you where BlackRock comes from, BlackRock Investments. It comes from the United States of America. Trillions of dollar portfolio. Do you know where that portfolio is? Almost entirely 401ks, public, private sector unions, non-union, investments of Americans, average everyday Americans, the wealthiest citizens in the world. Now, BlackRock is very old. They come from America First. That's all the pension plans, retirement savings of Americans. Trillions. Massive organization. Not into anything except for America First. There's your answer. Now, I've got tons of publications. I'm not going to get into any more of that. I don't want to hear about radical agendas and ideas because that isn't BlackRock. You're talking about 320 million Americans, of those, all of the working class, going back a long, long ways. Massive portfolio, massive strong. Yes, they are a $1 trillion portfolio organization, biggest in the world by far. Americans are the most wealthiest citizens in the world by far. You're not talking about individuals here. We're talking about everyday American citizens. Think of the 401ks alone. Now I'm going to go into, Marion Shank Dunlop. What about Romana Diddley? It's all crap. Fraud, total fraud, total fraud, total fraud. Anyone who believes that, I don't know why everybody keeps asking me. She's a complete fraud. The whole narrative of that group, complete fraud. Why would you listen to some Filipino who migrated to Canada who's selling you on the delusion that somehow she's commander-in-chief? Sorry, guys. You're eating an absolute fraudster who's making money off those susceptible. Notice I don't ever ask for money. I work, I'm doing my thing. I never ask for money. When we get into actual elections, actual narrative, I'll be asking for monies like everybody, like normal donations, but lifetime members will never have to pay. We're never going to be going like other parties. It'll always be on the campaign trail, meaning the 3 months of activity. Okay? There's only 6 months of actual elections related objectives you can do. And anything outside of that is political parties ripping you off. Raping you. Early elections, they always say that. I've already showed you the percentages of how many times an early election was called in Canada. 12%. And you know what? It was never out of a pandemic, a war, or anything other critical. It's not going to happen. Trudeau went 3 days ago and says, ain't going to happen. He's going to continue governing in his minority. He's got the crown. Why do you think all I care about is a minority government? As long as you get the crown, you can do fundamental changes. There's no real democracy here, everybody. There isn't. And, you know, for those going with the Romano dildo or what a dildo or whatever, it's all a scam. It's a rape your money bank. There's millions of them out there. Thousands. First warning sign, give me money. Notice how in all these years I never begged for money. When I had the website up and we ran in the 2019 election, yes, we asked for donations. Yes, it was registered. We even had a fantastic system. But none of you got emails every day, give me money, oh, we're doing this, give me money, give me money, give me money. Right? And these are elected persons with huge expense accounts, with all kinds of government subsidization from you taxpayers to keep you institutionalized. You're paying for your own prison in Canada. That's reality. Okay, so Sue Lawrence says, why hasn't the P5 called an end to the pandemic? The P5 have ruled it a pandemic, Sue. They went off the WHO very early in 2020. They invested tremendous amounts of money in vaccines. They all rolled a version out, and they're all fighting to get that out in the world. It's too late to turn the machine off. They're not going to change this from pandemic or not pandemic. They don't interfere in your countries. That's called the law of sovereignty, everybody. They don't interfere in your countries. Your country decides who gets to interfere in your country. Your country, government officials, even go out and interfere in other countries. And when they get caught, they get embargoes, sanctions, military intervention, upwards of execution. Happens all over the world. Rogue UN states do it all the time. Everything you're going through in Canada is perpetuated by none other than the Canadian government and absolutely every single provincial politician. Municipalities under the provincial government, they all roll in line with the absolute autocracy. How much money can we bleed out of taxpayers? When big, large multinationals come to Canada or invest in Canada, say, we want you to minister this on small businesses, ruin them. And then they made billions, tens and tens of billions, some of them. That was your government who did that, not the P5. Again, the P5 do not administer individual governments. That's against their fundamental law. They rolled a pandemic, they rolled out vaccines. How your government dealt with its lockdowns or its perceived notions of vaccines or what they force is entirely up to your government. The P5 made a law that forbids them from interfering in your country unless, on certain cases, sovereignty is at stake, which for Indigenous is why I'm going with the narrative, because this one we can win and we can take out the Canadian government on their genocidal atrocities alone and give you all the people the power. This is the best opportunity. First Nations has always been the key to unlock the door. Everybody, 4/5 of Canada is not yours. For all Canadians outside of First Nation status, only 11% of Canada is made available to you in private property. That's all you can have, which drives the astronomical values of prices in all the cities. The government knows what they're doing to rape, exploit, pillage, and plunder you. They get their massive taxes. They increase socialism as high as they can. There's no such thing again as a left and right. There isn't. There is only pure autocracy in Canada. They use these narratives to divide all of you, but at the end of the day, each and every government that comes in rapes, pillages, plunders, and exploits you, and even, as we've seen with the First Nations, practice genocide on you, all the way up to right now today as we have this talk. That's a sad reality. It's not the world, and the P5 can't unless you all need them and ask for them. It takes people. It takes percentages. The P5 run on percentages. They wait till a percentage of the population starts to wake up. But they don't interfere in that. They don't come in and take over your country. You'll never see China moving troops here. Sorry, everybody. The security team of communist troops that are here, Stephen Harper made a deal called FIPA, a 31-year deal that gives China all of this access. Absolutely, done by the conservatives. Trudeau loves it too. NDP loves it too. Because all the politicians get fat in the back pocket while you, your children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren are going to suffer to the likes of which most have never seen before. Okay, I'm going to let's see here. Watching World Constitution Day. Let's see. I did. I wish we had men here who have a backbone. Well, I'm not sure what question. What is the next step now? What are we waiting for? Just Russia now? No, Chris, we already got halfway with Russia. I need a statement from either Vladimir Putin himself on this, or I need one of his two permanent reps, UNSC. That has to be Dmitry or Vasily, one of those two. Now, we've got all kinds of reps. I can't disclose what I'm up to in the next 2 weeks, physically and real first person, but, not to toot whatever, but it's going to be so explosive. I hope that goes viral. It should. I mean, I don't know how much more to do to convince Canadians or get a viral system going here, but there's limited what the parties can do at this point in time. They're under the gun tremendously. Trudeau, Singh, O'Toole, all of them, even beyond them, the rest of the elected parties in power, and this is across every province. Every politician has some serious ally problems coming up, and it's on the scale of access power, which is bad, which is real bad. All we're waiting for now on my end is France. I don't have France yet. They're very quiet. They don't like the online world. I've met them in real life, actually. That was the first UNSC rep I met, and that was back at the Oceans Conference in 2019, quite a while before COVID-19. So my mission is going to be to try and secure that with France, because I don't speak French. Everything they present's in French. They won't. I mean, Russia does limited, but they always offer the English, as well as they embrace all languages. They're one nation that honors their minorities. And this comes from regional constitutionalism, everybody. 85 regions and a tremendous amount of minority languages. People don't realize this stuff. Like, we can't always look at the narrative. Well, I guess we can, because our media and our government paint the narrative to get you guys against the allies, so that absolutely we the people fall on our face, and the government has to scoop you up, and then they can go out like this on the world stage. Look, they're savages, just like the Indians. Look, Canadian people are savages too. Old stock Canadians are savages. That's what they're trying to kind of replicate here, and USA's woken up pretty good. So's UK too. And of course, Russia, and of all China. China was the first, and they're capitalizing on this, and they presented us on the UNSC with all the other rogue regimes, absolute annual presentation of all critical rogue regimes. Canada was presented. And you know what? It was a live debate, everybody. USA revoked their claim against Uyghur Muslims, and UK is holding off as well too. Do you know the only country that has a claim against China genocide right now is Canada? And guess who did that? O'Toole and Singh. And some of the bloc. Liberals abstained from that. So they basically handed off idiot Dumbo 1, 2, and 3, and threw all of you under the bus. But it's good for us. It highlights the dumbbells of politics. Trudeau's a dumbbell too, but he's lucky those Liberals have had majority federal government. They have a smart machine behind them of really well knowledgeable people who know how to play the game, because they've been playing it the worst and the best for the longest. They've had federal crown power the absolute longest. Pierre Elliott Trudeau's staff, and that are now senators and all that, they are all still alive and well and right behind Justin Trudeau. 60s and 70s. Senators are lifetime appointment. They can leave at 75. Some don't. Some go to their 80s. It's scary. Well, why wouldn't you get a free paycheck? You're appointed. You don't have to do any real work. It's a free lifetime pig at the trough first class citizen. That is the entirety of Canada. What amazes me that Canadians don't start kicking and stomping when your upper house is entirely appointed and they don't have any accountability or any kind of democratic process for them whatsoever, and they're sworn to your prime minister and the crown power. As bad as our courts are, the Senate is just like absolutely worse. A tremendous amount of executive power. And then each province and territory gets absolute autocratic power. 0 constitutions. Not that the federal's much better, but they're all bad. Let's see, I hope that answered. Oh, and Chris, next step. The other thing right now, everybody, is now, after this live, and over the next coming weeks, I have other things I'm not going to disclose, but the UN resolution to China, you're all going to be a part of that. I'm going to be rolling out more and more every day on that. World Constitution Day, live, August 1st. I'll be in Barrie, Ontario. Live presentation. Come sign up, people all over Ontario. If you want to get signed up, there's August 1st. Barrie, Ontario at the War Memorial. But I'll start posting that every day too. I got to have a talk with them now that this portion's done. Letters in, and I can another thing done. And now it's UN resolution with China against Canada and the genocide against the First Nations. You're all going to help build that resolution. We'll see what China does with it. KJ Johnson says, what do you think about them saying UN and Trudeau made a deal to take Canadian land and give First Nations to make himself look good? Well, UN didn't make any deal. So everybody knows the law of sovereignty is absolute. No General Assembly is allowed to overstep the UNSCP 5. UN didn't create this. UNDRIP, UN UNDRIP, for Indigenous peoples, was presented in the General Assembly and shot down by the UNSC, thrown in the garbage can. That can't be international law. Sorry, can't be done. Canadian government pulled it out of the garbage and said, here's UNDRIP, we're going to impose it on Canadians and First Nations. We're the UN now, because we're a UN state and we're an autocratic government. Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, Aaron O'Toole, and anyone else who gets elected get to administer UNDRIP absolutely in the fashion they want to steal everything from the First Nations. This is reality, everybody. Every UN thing that Justin Trudeau or Stephen Harper or Jagmeet Singh wants to put through, 99% of the time it's already been vetoed. It's ruled illegal in this world. And they're taking it because they want to be a rogue UN state. They want to be their own version of the UN. Another thing everybody needs to know, human rights are not privy of Canada. Human rights belong absolutely to the UNSC. They've established world human rights in every country. Canada is allowed to meet those minimums and add to them, but they can't reduce human rights. They can't commit atrocities, but they do. And they're caught in one, big one right now. That's how it works. There is no UN agenda to get Canada. There's a UN agenda created by Canada to usurp the P5 and make Canada a post-national state. And if you think it's just Justin Trudeau, no, he's just the most brazen, big-mouthed, thinks he's great as shit. Stephen Harper was it, Jagmeet Singh's it, Yves Blanchette, whoever the new Green Party leader is, as was the last one. If you can get elected and become that first-class citizen power in colonialism, you've got this. You've got all the people. That's reality. And there's nothing we can do about it until the people change it. Vote a party in that will end the crown, end the autocracy, and give you all constitutionalism. If you're in Ontario, you want to get signed up, come to World Constitution Day in Barrie, Ontario, August 1st. That's where I'll be. That's my next big public thing. What else we got? Yeah, exactly. Candy says the extortion scheme of all the parties. Imagine how much wealth we'd have. Well, absolutely. And settling Canada with all the First Nations peoples and every Canadian getting 35 acres. Think about that. Think about that. That totally ends the politicians. They don't like that at all. Neither do their wealthy elite buddies. All good in getting the message across. Thanks, Mitch. Canada first. What has he got there? Oh, Canada, yeah. Allison, George is watching. Politicians are globalist puppets. Well, they will be if there's no constitution to stop them. Candy, that's the thing. We have no real constitution in Canada. We have 0 in the provinces and territories. Not a 1. It's called for in the 1867 Constitution, and no premier ever in all of Canada's history thought it would be a good idea to give you all rules of governance, how to govern, and accountability to the politicians. They said, to hell with that. We're full, reigning, autocratic monarchs with 0 rules. We are nothing like the United States. We're way worse than Russia. Russia has regional constitutions across the board in division of powers. Rules, not Canada, not provinces or territories. They do whatever they want. You just saw it in COVID. Whatever the premier of the province or territory wants to do, they can do. And all they have to do is make sure to keep Lieutenant Governor, Governor General, and the Prime Minister happy, no matter what party they are. So they're paying each other off. They're playing off each other. And then they fight each other. They're not really enemies. They're autocratic buddies. The only thing they're enemies about is how can we manipulate the crown from the other side? How do we become the pig at the trough? Think of the vast riches we'll make. You're all seeing it in the province of Alberta. You're all seeing it in the country of Canada under Liberals. Conservative, Liberal. Jason's got the biggest deficit ever going in Alberta history. Way worse than any province. It even per person per capita outweighs what they're doing federally by Trudeau. And Canadians can't figure that out. Albertans, 4.3 million. Look at your debt load you took on. Just in a few years between Rachel and now the mighty spender Jason Kenney. Do the math. Multiply by your population, and guess what you find out? It works out to massively more than what Justin Trudeau borrowed against 40 million Canadians. Sad, scary, sick, and people don't figure this stuff out. They don't. Under his limited division of powers. It's sick. It's sick. Conservative, Liberal, NDP, it don't matter. They got a few little different bags, but they got hundreds and hundreds of policy ideas on how to rip you all off, how to ruin your life, how to kill even the First Nations. That's reality. Every single one of them are Nazis. Nazis. That's how Hitler got his power. He took the crown out of Germany's colonialism. He took it for himself in full autocratic advantage. It's what Canada's politicians have been doing entirely since 1952. Show me a constitution of any province, and don't throw me a stupid bill or, oh look, the Bill of Rights Alberta that mimics the Charter. How does that have anything to do with your civil rights? Oh, it doesn't. What's a civil right? Wow. And this is what terrifies me, the work I've done, what you all need to wake up to, and you got to end it, because you are worse than communism. If NDP did win the federal government, crown colonial communism. That's what you'll get. A version of communism unlike anything else in the world today. Probably be something like what Poland experienced. That's what would happen. Right now, Liberal Conservative, they're radical as hell anyway with the left and right agenda they have to absolutely extort, destroy, genocide, remove you. They're trying to turn us into a Venezuela. It's been going on for decades. Decades. How fast can we rip everybody off and get out? Get out. Make a whole bunch of billionaires and get out. Those billionaires will take care of them for many years to come. Sorry, guys, that's the truth. You're third class, second class, or your First Nations, you don't exist in the Constitution of Canada. Not whatsoever. You're not enshrined anywhere. You take the Charter and throw it out the window, because the Charter is inside the Constitution, underneath the Crown, meaning they get to decide how that Constitution's read. They'll tell the Supreme or Superior Courts how that's going to be judged any time they want. They can pass any act or bill without any parliament or legislature. They can do an order in council or a ministry's prerogative. It's in every act and bill you'll find it. Lieutenant Governor, Governor General. They're in every single overriding act and bill in Canada. All of them. All of them. There's no escaping 100% pure autocracy. It is the greatest illusion of democracy, a sneaky Nazi Hitler regime. Just don't act too crazy. Just tiptoe around. Put on the Queen's 95-year-old panties. Don't worry. No one will notice. And they don't. People don't even notice. Justin Trudeau is currently our monarch. He is the Queen of Canada in the entire definition of it. He has full power. Other powers to resist, Governor General, absolutely, if she chooses to do the right thing. Why hasn't... Okay, I got that one. Dwight says, once the Canadian Constitution has been redone, will the tax system be changed for the better? Absolutely, and that's actually a good question, Dwight, because here it is. We're going to owe all this tremendous money, but the way monetary systems work and how much debt value's been added to you, or even worse, what they don't like to talk about in banks is, what about the cost of living associated with you? Now, imagine for a minute, okay, we're not getting out of the debt. We're not going to get out of the debt. But imagine this country settled and all 5/5 of it's available to all of you. And there's a constitutional system in place, and you're all making a tremendous amount of money, and you're able to get out on the world stage. Just like you read in the Atlantic Charter, everybody. You read that. Where you're supposed to be enjoying the seas, trading your goods. There's not supposed to be regional divides. You're not supposed to be limited economically ever. But yet this is a fundamental problem with Canada. And more so, we're one of the only countries in the world where 80% of the country is not available to you. And just, I have to get back to this, because only 11% of Canada's resources are available to you, the second and third class. You get it? 11%. The other 8% goes absolutely to First Nations, most of it for the Métis. The Reserve Indian gets the least. The unceded Indian gets absolutely the least. We're talking minuscule. Neither peoples are ever going to get ahead, and you're not even allowed to use your resources. You really don't own your house. You pay taxes on the property you have, but the government puts all these other obstacles there to make sure you got to give it back to chartered private institutions that once again are owned by foreign interests. When we stop the bleed and the raping and the absolute corruption, we settle this country and we add a tremendous amount of physical wealth, not only to the First Peoples, which will get a lot, and they're owed a lot because we can never pay back the atrocities of the government. Not the financial money's owed or the rest of it, but we could settle this nation. And I tell First Nations, I know there's the radical ones who say, oh no, you stole this country, you guys all get out, we want you out. That's never going to happen. You don't do one human rights atrocity for another, but an absolute joining and settlement of this country and divide it up fair and square and give First Nations a tremendous amount, First Nations first choice. Every Canadian takes a draw like a hunting draw of 35 acres. And now you're worth something substantial. Overnight, we've transformed every Canadian, man, woman, and child, and every First Nations man, woman, and child, Métis, Inuit, all designations. We've transformed your value. You're not some crap piece of crumble. You got a tremendous amount of land, more so than the average citizen around the world by an extremely large margin, where you're going to have a benefit. You're going to generate money The boom out of this will be huge. Taxes will go down. The bills will be paid. But we're going to have to cement a constitution that outlines a payment of the debt, which is going to be a long time. But at least there will be an end to it, a system in place, and a prosperity for all Canadians who wish to enjoy it. And there are those who are going to piss it away. That's their choice. That's called democracy, your choice. But the boom of this will last so very many decades, 100 years at least. The last time this went through was America, and that lasted over 160 years. And still today, I mean, there's consolidation now, but imagine reliving that again for the first time in Canada, showing the world what 40 million people can do with so much. Why not? Sky's the limit. Think of it. People don't think about these things. They don't look at the economics of it. Now, I know there's a wealthy elite class, there's the politicians. That whole first class system is shitting their pants on this idea. Do not allow First Nations third and second class to get together, because they'll wipe out an election. Plus, think of those with massive investments in all of these big cities and the wealthy billionaires. All of a sudden, they get a draw of 35 acres, and the billions that they owe is now worth less than maybe $200 million. Their vast fortune down 100 points. 1% left of what originally was overvalued at. But all of you are laughing and screaming in the streets. You can go to a bank now, you can borrow money, you can build something, you can plan a future. Your dreams can be reached, at least for your generation. Your children, every child you have, grandchild, great-grandchildren, every man, woman, and child could get 35 acres. Think of how that changed. Now people say to me, oh, but what if the land's not livable? Well, hey, you know what? Well, what if the land's got a ton of resources on it? What if it's a stone quarry? What if it's got a massive amount of wood? What if it's got a whole bunch of extreme precious metals? I mean, 35 acres, take it or leave it. I think that's more than anyone has now on average, and I think it really sets the stage for all Canadians. First Nations get a lot more than that, a heck of a lot more than that. That is true, but we need to settle this and get it done. And we do that, and everybody stops the greed ideas, or, oh, I want it like this, I want it like that. Let it all go. Don't be a filthy first-class citizen from colonialism. Stop. You can all be tremendously wealthy. It's what you do with it. There'll be an education rollout, just like this constitutionalism. Post that and everything's accepted. If it takes 3 to 6 months to get it all done and every citizen in Canada is happy, I have tremendous faith in all of you. From the left or right, doesn't matter. When faced with the truth by the world's best of the best, and when you ask your questions, you get the real history, not a lie. I have great faith that every Canadian system, at least the majority of you, will vote for the right things when shown the absolute truth and no more lies. And you're showing the world as it really is by the best of the best. You'll all make the right choice, because at the end of the day, most of you, if not all, love your children, want to have a great family, pay your bills, work hard, do what's right for your family. That is enough to see this through. That's reality. What do we got here? Yes, what will happen to the income tax? KJ Johnson. There is going to be income tax, you guys. I'm not going to lie and say that's going away or promise fancy things. There is a tremendous amount. Now hear me out, everybody. Because of the autocratic system, we cannot go buck wild against all the world institutions we owe money to. Canada owes a pile. Now they're printing money to devalue all of you. Remember, I was telling about that value, 35 acres. There's the side of the coin you want to hear about on banking. They are printing money, plus they've borrowed a lot from foreign countries. The truth is, USA owns at least 60% of all of Canada's debt. It's more in different regions and provinces. Every province and region has a debt pile too. Municipalities have a debt pile. It's not the biggest debt pile. These things form we can't escape from. I can't eliminate income tax. I know it will go down through constitutionalism because you guys are going to decide so very many things when it's presented to you. When it's presented to you the right way. And you put the checks and balances in, but as far as an abolishment of taxes, never going to happen because we owe a tremendous amount of money. But you can constitutionally mandate, like states in the USA, with a heck of a lot less than most of the regions of Canada, have little to no debt whatsoever. They have rules for that. You can all do that. Just like your households, you put it in the Constitution. Right now, there will be income tax. A lot of taxes will remain. But you can change the narrative. You can change, put a finite end to that. Absolute, that can never be broken. That's called Big C constitutionalism. Big C and little c. You want Big C because it gives rules of governance, how to govern, and protects you, the people, and puts accountability on politicians. The little c is the constitutionalism that gives a length of rope from you, the people, to your politicians to make certain decisions on your behalf. You're going to learn about that too. Right now, Canada runs absolutely little c. 100%. Very little big C. And whatever little big C it's there federally is for the elite first class, where none of you, the filthy peasants, third and upwards of second class, as well as all First Nations, do not exist. You're there to be exploited. That is Canada. That's what Nazi Germany was. That was what all colonials were. And they teach whomever they victimized, who gets a leg up on them, to be the exact same thing. It is why the Canadian government, all the provinces, and absolutely the churches perpetuated sick, perverted atrocities against the First Nations people. Because that's what they do. That's called colonialism. Germany did the same thing against the Jews. Africans doing it against Africans after getting rid of the colonials. Because it's still in their constitutions. This stuff has to be removed. You're all institutionalized. You don't know that you're this close to rolling off an edge into that insanity. And it only takes about 3% of the population to get that accomplished. And everyone else will be complicit. History will prove this to you over and over again. The gift I'm giving is for the first time a political party that's not going to take the power, but destroy it. And not only destroy it, but give you a world-class education for every man and woman of voting age, for every First Nations reserve, off reserve, in all your entirety. Never seen before. And until those constitutions are done, nothing of any politician can do anything whatsoever. Government will still run, things will still run, but those in appointments or those attached to the politicians will be made powerless. They will not be able to legislate until it's all done and you're all happy. I think I got that question waiting, just rushing on. I answered that. Republic of Canada, that'll be up to the people whether it's a republic. People get too hung up on republic, and I had this talk yesterday with an American. It's got to be a republic. Well, guys, Russia's a republic. Russia, it was once communism, now it's civil law socialist. Russia is a republic. China, communist China, a republic. Civil law France, a republic. Democratic USA, a republic. Republic isn't the end-all and be. You're going to learn all that, but I'm okay with that too, as long as it's the right kind. I don't want to see a whoop into that republic system that 90% of the time turns so full socialist. That's why I'm bringing in experts. That's why I spent 2 years getting the best legal minds in the world. And we're going to pay them. They're going to come. They're going to do this for all of you. And it's going to be terrific. Better than I could ever do. I'm only the builder. I only provide it for you, the people. But that's the reality. But I have no problem with Republic. I'm just saying don't get hung up on it. because a republic can go to crap. It's all about constitutionalism. Constitutionalism. That's the key. That's the factor of you're either or you're. That's the reality. Always been. Can Canadian journalists be prosecuted for publishing false news in other countries like USA and China? Well, China I don't think will let a news that doesn't go on the government's narrative. USA, yes. It only takes 2 American citizens. This is state law, state constitutionalism, which I really love. Ian, thanks for the question. Regional constitutions. That's a division of powers. And yes, in many states in the United States, 2 Americans can charge someone with treason when they act against a president or state governor or against the constitution of said state. There may even be rules of that federally, but not at the 2-person limit. States have that. It's incredible just how strong the regions are in the United States of America. It's incredible. How will CCP government honor the treaties your ancestors made with our first peoples of this land? Louis Denny, I think it's Denny maybe. Good question. The treaties that are in place now, we can't pay it back. Canadians cannot pay back. And just so you know, there are several treaties outside of, I think when you say treaties, you're talking about the Western treaties of the interior, which is where I'm from and I understand them very well as if you don't know, or maybe you don't know, or maybe you're from the Eastern treaty system before, when Britain was in command, before Canada was official, even in the time of Upper and Lower Canada. There's also unceded land. There's Inuit who are not a part of the treaty system and have their own deal through Northern Arctic and Northern Arctic countries, which is somewhat better, obviously, than the Indian Act. And my answer is this: that is going to be up to you all in regionalism. We're going to give you all the experts too, and every reserve, off-reserve persons registered to those reserves. The presentation we're going to do is going to allow treaty, non-treaty, unceded, ceded, Inuit, Métis, and everybody to look at everything as it is. And when I bring you experts, not me, First Nation lawyers paired up to give in language from these experts, great amount of time going across Canada in every region, community, reserve, off-reserve. It will be made available to all First Nations. You're all going to decide that in a 3 to 6 month period when presented with everything. And you're going to tell us. Now, we're going to offer a huge land settlement. Those with the least get the most. Those who got burnt the worst. This is talking about treaty, because treaty lands have already been misappropriated. We're going to let you all decide that. That's not for me. I could lie and say, oh yeah, we're going to do all this or change the treaties or do that. The treaties are in place right now. They're always going to be, but you're being exploited through those, as are all First Nations anyway, up to as of genocide. It's a Nazi system you're in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened. Nobody can change the past, but we can move forward. We can say enough. And I think third class, second class are ready. Everyone's ready to say enough. I'm done. I'm not paying for any more atrocities by government and absolute idiocracy, or worse, genocidal maniacs. We want to end it all. We're going to let First Nations have access that taxpayers are going to pay for, right across the board to every single one, in all of your individual narratives. And you're all going to look at all of that. You're going to get the presentation. You're all going to decide. And then we're going to go back and forth. Because without First Nations, this Canada can never be fixed. And we need to do it together. It has to be First Nations and this third-class peasant Canadian. Neither of us, and the second class, all three of us are not in the Constitution. It really is white elites. Now it's even for, like, any MP elected, doesn't matter, brown, black. I say this all the time. Any race anymore, it doesn't matter. It's all about class structure. That is what Canada is. That's how they get away with calling other people racist when really they're the worst. But the answer is, you're all going to decide that. Now, we have a presentation for you, a tremendous amount, but we need to let you go through the constitutionalism on your own. We have to honor the 5 allies. Self-determination, self-government, and settling the claims is not a white party and a party. It's you're going to figure that out on your end. We're going to figure out our end, and we're going to come together and exchange. And you're going to get the same experts we're getting. You're all going to decide that. Thank you. Great question. I hope that answers your question. Your voice just changed. Weird. Oh, I'm probably tired. I mean, I've been on this for 2.5 hours now. It's normal again. I'm with you, Dave. Thank you. Brenda said she lost me. Chris, oh, France. It's normal again. Republic of Canada, we did. I'm with you. Oh, what did that go down? How's everything looking for registration of the party for 2023, Dave? Adam, it's going to come. I'm going to be doing the Atlantic. I got to get the second vaccine in. I need to get on the ferry, and I need to do the Atlantic provinces. I think I can go into Quebec right now. I'm not sure. I'm going to talk to some friends about that. But I definitely need to do the Atlantic, and it looks like I'm going to have to go up to Northwest Territories through Nunavut and Yukon at some point too now, because that's come up pretty hard. Hope that answers your question. It looks good as well. I guess the answer is it looks good, but we have a monumental amount even after registration. It's a big hurdle in this COVID coming to an end, but the bigger hurdle is the 338. Biggest ever in Canadian history is finding 13 lieutenant governors sworn loyal to we the people who will not break. They have to be a personal friend of mine if I run in that election, as we are going to. They have to be a personal friend of mine, and they're going to have to sign a liability. We have to find very talented, very strong individuals. They should be financially secure or comfortable, and that means, that's a tall order. 14 people. One's going to be Governor General, 13 lieutenant governors. Not a small feat, you guys. You say, well, that's not a big deal. No, these people can't be bought. They can't be broken. They can't fall to bullying. They can't. They have to be extremely strong, because it only takes one, and it's all undone. And people lie. I'm telling you, in politics, people lie. It's bad enough when it's an MP candidate, right? One of the 338. We'll get those too. And they'll turn around and go screw you right at the end, right when they're supposed to stand up. But imagine, Lieutenant Governors, Governor General will ruin everything for all Canadians and First Nations. I need 14 truly remarkable individuals with a clear history of no, I will not go with the crown. That's what I need. They have to be strong enough not to be bought out, and millionaires, billionaires from that elite circle of government, Liberals, NDP, Bloc, Conservative, all alike. They will come for these people, and they will do their damnedest to buy them out, threaten them, or worse. Those 14, that's a tall order. It's a first in Canadian politics. It's a major added to the plate. Thanks for the question. Dave, after Crown is no longer embedded with a voting CPC to a minority government, what do you think the economic plan that Canadians will see happening? Is there a sovereign economic plan for Canada afterwards? Yeah, you guys are going to develop that. That's all going to be part of constitutionalism. I encourage people, and I'm not trying to say, oh, wow, USA, or any of that. It's just, it's so easy to get access to the regions of the United States. They're a regional system, federal, just like Canada that way. Of course, we don't have any regional constitutions, but the economics, most state constitutions are between 275 to upwards of 500 pages in length. 50 state constitutions. They go through the economics entirely. Why do you think water rights line 5? How do you think I figured all this out, and I know how the Supreme and state Supreme Courts are going to rule? federal supreme and state supreme, how the president's going to make a decision. How did I know all that? Because I absolutely read each and every state's constitution of the 50, all of them, where you learn their economic system, the engine of America, the soul of America. And then you see the federal try things, and then when you don't understand, you go, what are they doing? That seems crazy. Then you see, oh, they had a trick up their sleeve. America first. Always America first. There's no such thing as really left and right. They play games, and they fight each other tooth and nail, just like Canada. Politicians lie back and forth against each other, just as bad as Canada. The difference is when they get elected, they find out, uh-oh, I have 2 years to get this done. I have 2 years or I'm going to lose a midterm and lose all my powers. Uh-oh, it's America first. Holy shit, I'm surrounded by 250 individuals. Uh-oh, there's a whole economic committee watching me. There's from left, right, government, right, real professionals. Oh my God, all those lies I told. Now I have to come out with a real platform that isn't exactly the lies I sold everybody in the election. But everybody voted me in popularity or whatever, and then it turns out we can do that. You can do that. I could say, hey, my economic plan, I'm going to do this, this, this. It's not about me. It's not about the party either. We're delivering to you, the people, and you're going to get to build those in your constitution, protecting your economic situation, not just for you, for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and all those down the line long after you've left this earth. Die knowing your country will always be successful. You can look, United States ain't too bad. They're the most successful economic country in the world. I'm not saying everything about the U.S. is great. That's not what this is. I'm just saying there are parts of constitutionalism, and we will compare all kinds. There's 205 countries. I don't want to be doing that for you, because there are tremendously skilled individuals who do this for a living, who each entirely know individual countries completely through their whole history, and they teach it for a living. They get paid for that, and a pretty good sum, and they're going to be coming to do this for you. And when you bring that up and say, well, what's your act? Well, this is what you should look at constitutionally. These da-da-da, in this region, and that country over here, and by the way, this country did that, and you guys bring forward that. You bring forward that. I already know what that's going to look like. I have a great, insight into that, but it's better you all go through it, and I just stay back, because it's not appropriate for me to say, well, what I'm going to do like the rest of the crap we've heard time and time again. You're all going to get that shot. That's what it's about. So when UN intervenes, what happens? Who runs the country? When UN intervenes, oh, your country still runs. UN's not intervening. The UNSC's intervening. United Nations Security Council. If this goes forward with ICC, we still need one more UNSC rep, and we also need to get our politicians to stop, and the people of Canada to stop with the Catholic Church narrative. Vatican is not a UN state. They are a separate sovereign individual. Unfortunately, that's what happened after World War II. They are just observing. They're not susceptible to the ICC. When Canadian politicians bring that forward and keep church, if ICC prosecutes that way, the P5 is going to throw it out because you've already breached their rules, and the UNSC will vote it down. No matter what the ICC decides, the P5 will say, one or all of them will say, sorry, we're vetoing. You didn't follow the rules. It goes like this, has to be done like that. We wanted Canada State, the government of Canada. And they'll just throw the case out, no matter what the ICC says. ICC is the court of the UNSC. UNSC P5, China, USA, Russia, France, and UK are the judge, jury, and executioner. Absolute worldwide. And all through that, in the history, sorry to finish that, answer that question, UN doesn't run your country ever. The ICC never runs your country. Your country continues to run, but politicians get terrified as they watch arrests happening, people going away. Germany went through this. We all know that. Still ran as a country. Nobody took over governance of the country. Africa's been through this in the last 30 years under ICC. Tremendous amount of times. Look at the history of ICC. Countries still ran. after the politicians or rogue regime military personnel, which are politicians, after they served their sentence in an undisclosed location with the ICC in permanent isolation, they were brought back, changed, but still under arrest, and given to their country to serve the remainder of their sentence, which is whatever they served with the ICC, they must serve home in the country where they committed their atrocities, and they must take the same amount of years in punishment or lose their life. A lot lose their life. The country of origin has them put to death. What about an honest and fair election? I have full faith in Elections Canada. They don't do voting machines. From what I experienced in Alberta's elections Alberta was terrific people. They were completely kind, considerate, very nice to me. I didn't see any action of any kind of voter fraud or interference, and in fact, they were kind. They helped me. They showed me so much. And I hear, even though provincially in Alberta they do use the voting machines, they don't federally. The problem is now Trudeau, through Privy Council, had it so there's multiple election dates. I could see there being fraud, but I'm pretty sure the elections are fair. The problem is politicians lie so bad and people are so institutionalized, they'll believe whatever they're told. Conservatives did the Conservative Party in. Liberals will eventually do the Liberal Party in, and we just flip-flop. That's what we do. I hope we can get this out. I hope I can get media on board. I hope people will start writing this monumental path forward as it really is by the Allies of World War II. A real narrative for you, the people. And I guess media doesn't want that because government pays their checks. $10,000 a story. That's a pretty good living. You squeak out 2 stories a month, propping up the government. You don't really have to even be a good writer, right? Sad. Sad, really. Saskatchewan sign-up. We had a huge one, Justin Alexander, but there are a lot of people signed up in Saskatchewan. But we'll figure out more. And everybody, don't get concerned. I mean, I want people for the initial registration. I'm going to leave it open online after registration. But the founding members, those who do come and meet me and meet those doing signature drives, you took that time, you put in that energy, you're going to be a lifetime free founding member. Everybody else will get a period of free membership, but that cemented founding members, those who show up, it's a lot to ask people and resource to go run all over and meet people. I mean, I do it. I do as much as I can. And I definitely got the most signatures, but by no means have I been super aggressive with it. The federal system's different that way. It's not like the provinces where it's so important, but I think soon door knocking is just as good anyway. It's just the COVID's limited that. Maybe we'll get there, Justin. I don't know. Dennis Woodrich was hitting and targeting Saskatchewan hard. I got dozens and dozens from him, upwards of over 50. Thank you for clarifying that to us. Hi, Dave. Letter reading quit. Oh, I don't know. Well, it should work. Trudeau's a narcissist. Yes, Brenda, they're all narcissists. Mike says to Peter, oh, okay. I don't know. What do we got here? Absolutely 100%. Dave, can I get an email for you? Yes, it's Dave, VJ Bjorkman at gmail.com. Dave, yeah, Justin got it. Oh boy, I better scroll through these. I'm not able to see all the comments or questions, Dave. Oh well. I don't know what's going on. It's a crap internet. People need to stand up and not accept being ruled over. Exactly. Let's see here. The whole system is designed to suck the wealth out of the people who create it by the parasites that contribute nothing but poisoning the people and treating them like slaves. 100%, Miss Kelly. Dave, if a provincial government were to attempt to undermine the crown and solidify a constitution in a province, how could one go about doing so, seen as the one who would ascend it is tied to the federal crown. No, actually, it's the lieutenant governor. Any premier can do this and get it done. However, you're only limited to Section 92, which is still tremendous. I recommend that anyway, because Section 92 is all your civil rights. But it should be done by the people. The problem is, in the politicians we have today in our crown colonial system, it's just going to be a first-class citizen by the federal constitution, leaving First Nations and absolutely third and second class out of a provincial constitution. It will be manufactured like an act exactly the same way as the Canadian one that only gives power to the first class citizen. They'll talk about civil rights, they'll get creative, but it'll be another farce like the federal one. I believe we need federal dismemberment, an absolute redesign to truly get a provincial constitution, unless you find someone with a good heart and soul who will roll out an absolute, a Section 92 constitution, powers, division of powers of a province or territory, by the people with world-class experts. Any one of them could do it. Hasn't been done in all of Confederation history by any one of the premiers, and I don't believe they would ever truly give you one now. I think they're all drunk with the power, the corruption. They've all learned it, every mainstream party. You need a fresh party, fresh people who can't be bought or paid for, and that's a tall order. I mean, I'm doing it. I know there's the people who exist like that, but then when you start asking who are your experts, where's your legal professionals? Right, I've already proved. I had Richard Albert's provincial constitution rollout. He did that for a whole pile of people, loyal followers. That was real, professional, what could be done, and the cost of that. And I've now done that for all of Canada at the 140 million. And just so everybody knows, at 10 million, which is the cost of a provincial or territorial constitution, is the cost of a provincial referendum. One item. A provincial constitution is literally thousands of items, hundreds of sections, which should have been done a long, long time ago. But the autocracy is now full-blown. The parties have mastered it. They've learned how to lie and manipulate and cheat you all. They've institutionalized you all. You jump when they say how high, and they're never, ever going to let that go. There are too many civil societies attached to the first class now in appointments and ministries with their wealth and power through these foundations and everything else. Look at the Trudeau Foundation. But it goes on. Alberta, I can tell you, of literally 150. I did a course on this. We went through it. America, Russia, even UK, they don't understand civil society as it absolutely is in Canada. Try like a Nazi Germany. And I hate to use that, but that's the truth. It's all about truth. All these videos are truth, everybody. The civil society in Canada is nothing like USA or UK or even Russia. Not even close. Those countries have no clue what Canada's version of a civil society is, because they don't match whatsoever. And in fact, these civil societies are already polluting their countries. I know you think, how the hell could that be? How could USA be falling for Canada's civil societies? They've already polluted them, programmed them. Same thing happened to China. China took a bunch. Now Russia is too. It's called constitutional migration. The longer Canada remains like this, the more destabilizing the allies we're making, which means turning the world back into some kind of version of Nazi Germany, the NWO. I'm telling you all. I've done tremendous volumes of work, and I've chased it back. Canada is one of several, 70% of the UN is civil law socialist, but there's only a portion that's in this colonial, crazy, Nazi-style system. 22 nations out of 193. Think about that. Canada's one of them, and one of the most wealthiest ones. They're leading this, you guys. Leading this. USA's getting beaten by Canada in some fronts. It's sick. So's China, so's Russia. And they don't even see it coming. And then they start grabbing things from Canada, going, oh, that'll give me more strength. You're just destabilizing your country and your people. They don't see it because they haven't lived it. These autocrats think, oh yeah, I like that autocratic power. Scary stuff, guys. We have to change it. we can change the world by changing our country and showing everybody, look what we can do with the remaining laws of the P5. Imagine they get so unstable, they start throwing away those laws. Oh my God. And I think we could get close to that. Okay, so what do we got here? Yes, I did that. I hope that answers your question. Your work and words are solid, and I appreciate you 100%, Dave. Thanks, Liz. Think common law, contract law, people need education to stand up for their inherent rights. Yep. Jonathan LaBelle, please stop it. Dave Bjorkman, stop it all. I don't think so. I'm going to continue, thanks. Oh, I think you mean stop it all. Oh, I'm sorry, I get you. You want me to continue and stop it all. I will. Absolutely, Jonathan, I'm going to destroy it. That's the goal. We're all going to do it together. Sorry about that. I'm like, holy smokes, he's mad at me. I'm getting tired now. Oh yeah, 10 to 10. Okay, Anne-Marie Vitti. If we win, would everything have to change, i.e. taxes, banks, social benefits, housing, etc.? No, nothing's physically going to change or how your government runs, except for the fact that you're going to put in a whole bunch of rules. So yeah, taxes will go down, absolutely. Government's going to behave much, much differently. And you're going to have a pile of more rights and freedoms, I promise you that. I promise you it's going to be 10 times better than the Canada you're in right now. Let's put it that way. And let's take the stress off of having to work with our horse blinders on, like majority of the population. The government wants to keep you that way. Let's stop chasing our tails. That's what's going to happen. Absolutely. So it will change. Everything will change. Banking will be more accessible. Think about it. Everybody's got 35 acres. Trust me, your financial situation changes overnight for a vast majority of every Canadian. And then your dreams can be looked at. Sorry, I had a little hiccup there. Question, can imagination be stopped or slowed down while we try to rebuild the best what we can do? Oh, immigration. Yeah, immigration is a problem. That's become an industry, and it perpetuates colonialism. It perpetuates colonialism. It's done to extinct the Indigenous. It's done to extinct you, the Canadian people. It's not the immigrants' fault, but when you pound a massive population with limited jobs and astronomical unemployment rates, you've breached all the laws of the Allies. Canada has the highest immigration rate in the world, and no jobs. And we're suffering and we're borrowing tremendous money. Please, anyone show me another country in the world that says this is a good idea. Did you not, I gave the presentation in this last part 2 video where Joe Biden and Boris Johnson say about debt and governments putting debt on the people, restricting their sovereignty. They just told you that that should be outlawed worldwide. That's in the Atlantic Charter reaffirmation. So Canada's doing that. Of course, immigration has to be reduced. I'm not saying kick everybody out that's here right now. They'll all become Canadian citizens. That's the other flip to this. No more permanent resident, temporary foreign worker. You're a citizen. You're going to get a settlement like everybody else. You're going to have to swear to a new system called We the People. That's how that works. But yes, immigration is going to go, and then you're all going to decide that. With all of your new land, maybe you do want some kind of immigration plan. That's going to be decided by you, the people. I understand, so what will that mean for the first class? Well, first class attached to any genocides or breaches of international law as we go through this, regardless with ICC and after post-election, they're going to have to be dealt with real justice, and you're all going to decide that. I'm not going to make those decisions. Again, it's not about me. It's going to be about you. It's really simple here, you guys. You're going to be making the rules. With the best education your limited tax dollars can buy, because we're not taking a lot. 140 million is not some billion-dollar purpose here. This is Canada-wide, like 1,000 referendums in one. 3 to 6 months. I think 140 million is completely reasonable. Not some crazy radical agenda by Liberals, Conservatives, NDP, where they would turn a coffee meeting a bunch of fat baboons and dumb ladies who sit there picking their nose. We're talking about world-class experts going right across the country in every single community, First Nations, Canadian, and every minority language, again and again until everyone's reached every Canadian, every single one in every First Nation, until you've all had a say. Raking it through the coals would be my answer. Okay, I'm not sure. Rick, weird, playing at you 90% speed times make you sound like a disguised voice. I don't know why. That's weird. Jonathan LaBelle, okay, I see. How do we get this message to catch on? I've tried to share. Hey, we need media. I don't know if we're going to get that. Deliver flyers is a great idea. Absolutely. So as landowner now, how does it look for my 35? Is it mine, debt-free? Whatever debts you have right now, everybody, or whatever lands you own, that's all yours, including your debt. You don't get a wipe away. It's not like an extreme change here. You're just going to get another 35 acres if you're a Canadian. Random like a hunting draw, somewhere in Canada. And you guys can all work it out after that. But as for debts you have today, you'll absolutely have tomorrow in this system. Whatever lands you own now, you own in that system. Whatever treaty settlements made, finalized, are all going to be there tomorrow. It's just the governing and the new settlement coming forward to rectify everything. That's it. We're only adding to every Canadian First Nations. And we're letting everybody build that. First Nations in a separate narrative, Canadians in another, and then together we come together and make a deal. That's it. I'm not deciding that deal. You all are. I'm only building the ability to make that happen and let all of you decide. No Hitler, no Nazi, no socialist, no radical right, nothing of the sort. Pure, real, you the people, just like a real constitutional convention done in the United States. But this time, in this day and age, in 2023 it will be, you'll all be able to do that live or online, and at every scale we'll have the experts online, big screen, lawyers present to help all of you. It will be done world class, a monumental feat that can only be done in today's technology. That's reality. No one will be left behind. Absolutely none. How is a landowner now? Okay, I got that one. Oh, shoot, it just screamed. Yeah, something's funny with this. How do you divide the country? Who decides what part of Canada each person gets? What am I going to do with land in the middle of nowhere? What do I do with land if I don't hunt? Some of this doesn't make sense to me. Well, you know what? Everybody wants some kind of promise of something magical. No one would ever be happy if I did anyway. A general draw. I don't know. I wouldn't refuse 35 acres. And how do you know until you see what you get? There's tremendous resource potential out there. Water. There's places in the world with no water. You don't know. You don't know. Maybe you're going to get a whole bunch of wood and you're going to tell me, oh, I don't want that. That's full of forest. Massive lumber. Well, you just reduced the commodity price, that's for sure. And maybe you own 600-700 well-forested trees, or maybe a rock quarry, or maybe you're in with a whole bunch of other settlements and it's a diamond mine area. I don't know. All I know is I wouldn't refuse no 35 acres if it was handed. I think I would take that over the shit show system we have now. I'm getting tired now, everybody. Oh, 3 hours. It's appealing. Robinson. Okay, I wonder your take on why the provincial government of Ontario is appealing the Robinson-Huron Treaty. Everybody, when it comes to treaties and promises by the government, who is the Crown, you can wipe your ass with it, just like the Charter, just like any Bill of Rights in any province or territory or limited version of it. If you haven't figured it out by now already, the government isn't your friend. They're colonial, autocrats, which I keep telling you over and over. You can take all acts and bills, you can take all treaties, you can take all Indian acts and Métis nations, you can take all Inuit, and the reality is, if the government hasn't screwed you over yet, just give them time, they will. What they give, they can take away in a moment's notice. They're absolute top of the pyramid, pure crown right here, top of the pyramid. None of you exist in the Constitution. I'm going to say this again. None of you, First Nations and all your designations, Métis, Inuit, and on and on and on, through First Nations, treaty unceded, all of it, all Canadians from the third class and second class, meaning if you're not in the government elected and you're not appointed by a government or in a ministry or in a council, you don't exist in this country in its constitution whatsoever. You exist to serve the first class. They have all the autocratic power in the world. The illusion of democracy is just a little game they give you. They have a monumentous amount of executive power at both federal, territorial, and the federal level to usurp all forms of democracy with 100% the crown. King's Court, this is a 900-year-old plus system that has always functioned this way. The peasants are continually beaten, robbed, raped, murdered, genocided, whatever the government who's in power wants, because they're the divinity. They're in the Constitution as divinity. Men and women who are gods. I'm sorry. That's the system you're in. It's always been this way. It's what led to World War I and II. There are 7 colonials of that system who created World War I and II, and we are fortunate that a number of non-colonials waited for the right time to roll out the UN and say this shit's abolished forever. Unfortunately, the world's a big place, and even though they ramp up the most mighty armies, they hold the nukes back, and yes, they go at each other, but they hold them back because it's a big world out there, and there's billions of people. Those are 2 small nations who spend a tremendous amount on ensuring the world can never go back to that. That's both Russia Federation and the United States of America. Those people pay. They have a solid system in place. America likes to throw Russia under the bus. Russia goes after America. I can tell you right now, real Russians believe America's autocratic. Americans believe Russia's fully autocratic. Canadians are split 3 ways. As crazy as that is, I ran a poll on it, a real poll. And I was not entirely surprised, but it kind of made sense. I just thought more Americans and Russians would point at Canada, but they didn't. Almost all Russians and Americans agreed on one thing: Canada isn't a problem. But now they're waking up. Now the leaders are going, "What? We didn't know that. Our people think that." I'm like, "Yep." So it's cool. It's fun to do stuff like that, monumental things, different way of thinking, different way of presenting, and they get a kick out of it. Sometimes people get a kick out of it. So Dave, you used to be want if 2% club and wanted a UN seat. What changed your mind? Are you on white hat side? I think you're crooked. You used to want if the 2% club. No, I support an organization called 3% from the United States of America. If you haven't read that, pure libertarian. They're big into gun rights. The 3%ers, Threepers, that I do support libertarian, and I do support them. Yes, they're on the side, I guess, of the former Trump administration. They're not violent. They're not racist to get thrown under the bus. There is a narrative to take away guns from them. It has nothing to do with 2% or whatever. As for UN, the world before the UN, League of Nations, is absolute garbage. It's garbage, and people suffered tremendously bad worldwide. The Irish, all my ancestors, I guarantee all of your ancestors struggled. People died. Your children got diseased, famined. People came running through the colonial boat to come here because they worked as a serf on the baron or landlord's land. Just like a slave, just like the southern states of America, whipped, beaten, wife raped. You had barons come along and, oh, your son's got a girlfriend. You had to get married in secret. Well, you know what? Your fiancé gets a round out of the baron and all his buddies first. That was a law. A lot of people who sit here blah 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 on PPC. PPC is a nutcase joke now. This global governance, Canada and PPC, along with the rest of the turd parties, are the colonial nutcases, right out of the worst nightmare. Canada's the NWO. Maxime Bernier would be a ringleader of the NWO. The guy's a lunatic. I've already seen it. A fraud, a sham, a scam. I've tried many times. Derek Sloan's the same thing. No different than Filthy Singh and the rest of the lunatic left. I know what you all are. You people come on here, you tell me you know how the system works. You've never gone out a day in your life and gone anywhere. You're just a PPC troll puppet. You don't even know nothing. Nothing. Literally nothing. And you come here and you're going to tell me, oh, I know how it works. Maxime Bernier's a hero. Maxime Bernier would sell your child for a bus ticket to some pervert, probably a pedophile priest that did the Indigenous in and raped the boys of St. Vincent and all the other unfortunate white people from lower impoverished situations or from the social system. That's what Maxime Bernier is. He's a wealthy first-class autocrat. Loves it. He never followed his dad. Maybe go look at that system. Anyways, I shouldn't ramble off. You're always going to get a few. And it's always the same people. Blinded by any dumbbell lie. Dumbbell comes along, tells them a lie. Oh yeah, that's what I want. You wouldn't want that. How would this work in regards to the thousands of immigrants that Trudeau brought in to Canada? They're going to go through the well, they're not going to go, not if they're not citizens, but every citizen of Canada, official citizen, goes through it. All those immigrants would have to sign the constitutions you all create, and then they can become citizens too. Absolutely. But that's where the line stops. And I went through this tremendous amount of people, and I actually won, so everybody knows, I won a presentation downtown Edmonton in 2019 when it was a room full of Africans, Asians, party loyal MLA candidates were with me, and we were the only white people in the room, and all the parties were represented there. After they kicked me out of every forum, they bring me to the Immigration World Forum, and they thought, this is where we're going to get him, he's a racist son of a bitch. They even had a Treaty 6 First Nations girl, young, obviously they didn't talk to any of the chiefs, brought her in, no accent, so she definitely didn't grow up on a reserve whatsoever. Comes in there with the tears streaming, why is that racist on the stage? And all the media's just filming, they got me going, right? And I'm just sitting there quiet, let her give her rant about how bad I am and evil, and the heat of the crowd, and it's mostly black people and Asian people and everyone in East India, and they're all looking at me like that dirty white devil. And then I get to speak, and I answer. I said, I'm sorry, I spent 2 days with the Treaty First Nations. I have a presentation, the first time in history we brought forward the First Nations in the platform. Did you know? And I go through everything. I tell all the immigrants in the room. And you know what? I finish with that, and I tell them exactly what I'm telling all of you, because it's not a lie. Not only are we going to settle all these claims with everybody, settle Canada, we're going to give you your citizenship status, just like that. But I was honest, I said immigration's going to end as you know it. We have to stop it. We can't afford this. And then I told them about all the First Nations, which was the rollout. That Treaty 6 girl's mouth hit the floor. And it was blah, blah, blah. You know what the media did? All of them rolled down the cameras, put them away, because they wanted me to go off the rails on immigration. They wanted me to prove I'm a racist, so they'd have something on the news, and then everyone would say, oh, look, he's exactly what they said they are. But I didn't fall for it, because I'm not that kind of guy, as most of you aren't. We just know that immigration is an attempted genocide, not only a continuation of the First Nations genocide, but absolutely to destroy the Canadian way of life that many of us have known for decades. It's coming to an end. You all know it. You all know that it's escalating rampantly faster, cost of living out of control, housing bubble way out of control, and the government's answer is just keep borrowing more money, immigrate as many as you can, Who cares what it does to the average everyday Joe Jane citizen? Who cares how it destroys families? Who cares how it ruins children forever? Just genocide them all. Fill your back pockets, make as much money as you can. Let this thing fall into a Venezuela, and we're all on the seas in our first-class yachts, sailing away taken care of by many billionaire multinationals where we have shares in the company. Hate to tell you all this, but it's true. I'm getting messaged hard here. Can you accept friend request? No, I can't. Anesia Smith. I got a page, and I'm gonna have to start switching to that, and then start sharing it on here. I think I'm gonna do that. What does ICC need to act? ICC actually can act right now, but here's the thing, everybody. It's not, ICC's very important, I know that, but the P5, it's the judge, jury, executioner. We need the P5 on board, absolutely, before I pressure Karim Khan any further. I'm trying to get a UN resolution that all of you are going to work on. Starting after this video, in the coming 2 weeks, we're working on the UN resolution that China, we hope, will present, because they've already brought it up. And I said, if I bring a resolution from the people of Canada, the 1600, 1700 now, or all Canadians and First Nations, will China present it? And they gave me a like. Yes, they will. So that's where we're at. I want to do a resolution. I'm going to craft a template of how this has to look for all of you. And I'm going to let all of you email and interact. And we're going to build the next UN resolution to shut down the government. Absolutely. And if that resolution is passed by the P5, Canada's done like dinner. Your politicians are all done. All of them, every party. And it will go through a monumental investigation, exactly like what happened to Nazi Germany. And not you, the people. You will not be harmed. I'm telling you. And you can look at ICC. They go over the world, and yes, blue helmets go in. But that's only on the investigation. You, the people, are never harmed. It's only your politicians, rogue regime style, or genocidal politicians. They don't go after the citizens unless you are actually working or appointed in a government position and you happen to have committed a genocide. Yeah, look out, you're going down too. Or if you're aiding and abetting the politicians guilty of this stuff, or you help them when ICAC is doing their investigation, they'll take you down too. And the P5 will support them, eh? They'll send in troops, they'll grab you. And your Canadian government's not strong enough to stop them. It would be an act of war. Canada's signed on. They can't say no. Oh, I'm sorry, Darren Mater. It's not that you're cut twice. I just stayed with 1,000 signatures. I can only do 15 pages. That's all I'm allowed to do. I'm not cutting people off. You're all in absolutely with the ICC. You'll all see that, and I'm not going to promise you a resolution either, because I don't know how many pages that's going to take. But if we can keep it under 15 pages, I can make more pages. I have 8 pages just for 1,000. And if I go any smaller, you can't read the names. I tried. I'm sorry, everybody. But ICC, we can send all 17 in on its own, but maybe not the UN resolution either. I'm not sure, everybody. I don't make these rules. Just so everybody knows, I don't make the rules. I'm limited, and I have to follow their platform. Some of them, like USA, they're like 3 pages. I'm like, how the hell am I going to send 3 pages? What's that going to do? It's going to be nothing. I even had one, as they're fighting back and forth, to try to send it to Linda Thomas Greenfield. They're going this, it's not our area. We're not doing this. The other one's like, well, we're not taking any of those. Just write a statement. I'm like, write a statement? I go, every other country took the whole thing. I'm not sending you a statement. This is the presentation. You either give it to her or then you guys are crap. And they ended up giving it, but it was like an all-day fight. That's how America is. A lot of things are good about the States, but some things are really bad, right? That's one of them. So I don't make all the rules, everybody, but did I just flip the camera? What happened here? Well, I guess I did. It's getting dark now. Oh, it's after 10. Let's see, take a compliment on it. Okay, thanks, Brenda. Amen, taxes go down, less greed for politicians. Oh, there's lots of comments. Yeah, affordable housing. You're right, Darren. That's why we have to do this, everybody. Giving all Canadians a wealth, a fundability, plus the resources. Canada's loaded with resources. 4/5 are not available to anybody. You start unloading those onto the people, and you have resource rights. First Nations, self-determination, self-government, and settling the claims. Your resources, not ours, not mine, not government's, yours. We're going to go through all of this. This is why a 3 to 6 month constitutional presentation. Nobody's left behind. We're not getting into this. And there's rules on Indigenous too. The USSR and USA have more to present to everybody, including First Nations, because USA and Russia have actually gone through this the most. The most at any nation. They've already been down these roads. They imposed more constitutions worldwide than any other nations. They go through all that. Great point there, Darren Mater. Let's see. Yeah, on the genocide list, Brenda. Nancy, you're cutting out. Seniors, disabled. I love the sound of it. You the people. Well, it's true. We the people, you the people. Not me. Not a party. It's not what this is about. And people ask about multi-party systems. All that is all possible, but really at the end of the day, it's rules of governance and we the people, you the people, and your supremacy in a God of your choosing, not any man or woman. That all has to go. That's a fundamental flaw that removes the soul of a nation, the soul of the people. That's why Canada's the way it is. What about interprovincial trading? Albert Collins says that will absolutely be 100% mandated. As did you know, Albert, I just read you the Atlantic Charter. That's the UNSC's mandate from 1941, and absolutely I reaffirmed it in part 2 video of Joe Biden and Boris Johnson. It's the 5 that want that. They even want you out trading on the seas, on the airways. Canada is the problem. Canada's colonial system is slaving you, the people, and First Nations. All to genocide, all to steal the wealth from you, all in the back pocket. I proved it beyond a reasonable doubt today. 100% interprovincial trading. No one can stop that. No one can stop any sovereign peoples from trading. Look at USA, they don't. Look at all the states. Russia, they don't. It's only Canada. Colonial Crown Canada, while the politicians get filthily rich beyond any measure as they sell all of you out. Turn you on each other. People against people, province against province, territory against territory. Yeah, Brenda says take a break. How many do I have left? Oh man, look how many comments there are. Holy smokes, I'm way behind. Okay, you know what, guys? I gotta shut her down. It's after 10. I have to work tomorrow. That's 3.5 hours of video, almost. I did pretty good. I'm tired. I'm gonna sleep now. You guys have a great night, and we'll do this again next Sunday. Keep your questions if I didn't answer it for next Sunday. I did as much as I could. Love you all. Bye now. Share, share, share.